Wherever this finds you, I hope this finds you well. Ben64, the console curator, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Hyperkin Bluetooth limited edition pixel art collaboration. This channel involves a lot of nostalgia, taking us back to simpler time, like the 90s for me or 80s for some of you, I would assume. Times when things were just a little bit easier, you didn't have to worry so much. Sometimes life was as simple as a great birthday meal. And for me, it was always as simple as Kraft mac and cheese, that's right, the blue and yellow box, and hot dogs that only Oscar Mayer could deliver. So join me while we look at these controllers and their accompanying EVA hardshell cases to see if they'll have you saying yum or passing on seconds. Let's get into it. All right, everybody, I am super excited for this. My mouth is watering. This is a delicious spread we have in front of us. I hope your mouths are watering for this review as well. Now, I was always taught to say thanks before you eat a delicious meal, and so I gotta say, I gotta do the same, right? Let me say thank you, guys. My last video had 1,000 views in 2 weeks, and I never thought that was gonna happen. A jump like that blew my mind. It set me up to 89 subscribers. I am knocking on the door of 100, and I could not be more stoked. And let me just say, thank you to you guys, because you guys decided that you wanted to kick the YouTube God's algorithm in the ass, and you totally did. So I don't know if you did it because you love me and the content, or if you did it because you just want to stick it to YouTube, but either way, thank you. If you want to be the person who puts me over to the 100 subscriber mark, feel free to do so. Like and subscribe and hit me in those comments. Now, that said, let's get into it, okay? Now, in addition to Oscar Mayer and Kraft getting in on the action, a few other nostalgic companies decided to as well. And these companies include childhood favorites and adult favorites, because, let's be real here, such as Sriracha, Heinz, and even Kool-Aid. Oh, yeah. I think it's time to show you guys this spread and how glorious it is. Now, I was thinking that I was going to open a couple of these for you today. So I was thinking that we're going to rock the Kraft macaroni and cheese controller. And like I said, mac and cheese and hot dogs is a child's dream. So let's do one of each. If you guys decide you want to do these in the future, and by these I mean the pixel art hot dog or the Kraft mac and cheese case, we'll get those in as well. So comment, and if you guys decide you want it, I shall make it happen. Clearly, we're going to start with the case because you have to save the best for last. So I'm going to put this over here, and you guys can just gawk at it. And in the meantime, I'm going to open this beautiful Oscar Mayer Wiener EVA hardshell carrying case. Yeah. And I love the pull. Here we go. Oh my goodness. How fantastic is that? Come on, don't you just want to take a bite of it? I mean, that's absolutely beautiful. What a vibrant yellow, what an incredible red. And I love that it says Oscar Mayer on the back, so you don't have any doubts about where this thing came from. Wow, wow, wow. I love it. Let's find out what's inside of this hot dog, shall we? Because I think it's going to be slightly more than just ketchup and mustard. All right. And first things first, we are greeted with a beautiful Oscar Mayer Hyperkin tag here to let you know that this is a collaboration of the ages. And interestingly enough, this actually is a zip compartment in the top. Now, a lot of cases that we see don't actually have a zipper in the top. It's kind of like a overlap, if you will, of two different mesh compartments. That way it doesn't scratch anything. And to be honest with you, that is one concern I would have for this case, is the fact that I love the zipper, but I would be worried about this metal part scratching my console. Just food for thought, might be a concern. Also, we get the standard layout. I don't know why this is always the standard, but 8 game slots here for your gaming pleasure and your on-the-go pleasure. Pretty par for the course, but it's always nice to have and nice to see. And this actually is a really cool detail. Oh, look. Let's game. Thank you for your purchase and support. Hyperkin. I love it. What a nice little card. So instructional card and a sticker. Everyone loves a sticker. Stickers are like the new magnets, which are like the old stickers. Now, as I was about to say before I got so rudely interrupted by the awesomeness of this case, this little foam insert, I don't really see that very often. This is set up so that your switch light doesn't kind of bounce around in here, and I think that's a really nice touch that they brought in. I will say that it does look like it's actually oriented in a specific way. You see the top has like a little notch cut out here, so that's kind of interesting. But if you're using this with a Switch Lite, obviously you have that in. If you're not, you can just rock it without, and it'll be able to take your Switch OG or your Switch OLED, as the case may be. I love the colors. I love how vibrant this is. I mean, it is just absolutely beautiful and fantastic. What a cool piece. Definitely a conversation starter. But this is the type of piece that's going to look beautiful in the background of my studio. So keep an eye out for it. I expect this might be sitting behind me at some point in the near-ish future. So now that we have the case out of the way, that's going to have you singing the Oscar Mayer Wiener song, I think it's time to get into the main course, if you will. And that is to say, this beauty right here. I believe it was Pablo Picasso who said, "Good artists copy, great artists steal." And of course, that was promptly, or not so promptly as the case may be, stolen by one Steve Jobs and incorporated as a business model. Now, that said, looking at this, I do think that Hyperkin may have borrowed some ideas from 8BitDo and the SN30 Pro. And who could blame them? The SN30 Pro has been wildly popular with retro game enthusiasts and regular gaming enthusiasts alike. And so I think Hyperkin did their homework and decided like, hey, let's not reinvent the wheel here. Let's do what works. This comes in at $39.99, and I think that's a pretty sweet price point, especially when you consider that the SN30 Pro comes in at $44.99 or $45 for the current variant, which does have Hall effect joysticks, or $39.99 for the green and purple variants, which do not have Hall effect joysticks. And let me just say right off the bat that Hall effect joysticks are not a make or break on a controller like this whatsoever for me. And that's because this controller, right, as you can see looking at this, is D-pad centric. And people are kind of seeing these controllers as a sweet spot for retro gaming. That's not to say they're not good for regular gaming, but I definitely kind of see these joysticks as a bonus, if anything. And to be honest with you, and this may come as a shock, but I predate the era of regularly used Hall effect joysticks. Most of my controllers have survived until my maturity, if you will. And I've had no issues with them or stick drift or anything of that nature. So for me, I'm not really worried about Hall effect joysticks at all. For you, take it or leave it, that's kind of up to you. If you're not into the classic scheme, they do have a couple of other collaborations that they've done. They did one with Miraculous Ladybug and Cat Noir, and they also did one with Tetris. And let's see if we can get a nice little... Oh, wait. All right, I didn't even realize this until just now, but as you can see, this controller, and this is perfect for a macaroni and cheese themed controller, because as we all know, America spells cheese K-R-A-F-T, but this is the cheesy overload controller, and the Oscar Mayer is just a hot dog, or maybe they just didn't want to say that everybody should feel like a wiener. That would be my better guess. Ready? Oof, I love the sound of a freshly cracked box. Drum roll, please. Here we go. All right. We opened the package. We're immediately greeted by a bowl full of smiles. Clearly, it was a success. The Kraft mac and cheese logo right here. I love it. I think that's absolutely fantastic. And I love that it says, "Taste your victory." I'm definitely tasting my victory with this controller. I did not anticipate the packaging being this fantastic. And I have to be honest with you all, I really want to open the Oscar Mayer version now and see what that says. So if that's something that's interesting to you, or if you want to see my reaction to that, please, please, please feel free to leave a comment. Encourage me to do so, because I would love the excuse. All right, and as you can see, a collaboration for the ages, mac and cheese and Hyperkin coming together. My... I mean, I've seen the pictures online. I had every idea of what it looked like, but it looks so good. It looks so good. And I have not gotten any of the competitors, the SN Pro 30. So I don't know if they come with rings around the joysticks, but I do love that detail. I think that's pretty awesome. So let's put that over here, and let's get a good look at this under the camera for everybody. I got the blues, And the light blue accents are fantastic, especially on these joysticks. Looks really, really good. And I love that the whole controller is this beautiful, like cheesy, not to say it's artificial or anything, but artificial cheesy Kraft mac and cheese color. I think this is absolutely fantastic. And for those of you who need tips and tricks on how to make a perfect box of mac and cheese, because truly not all boxes of mac and cheese are created equal, this is exactly the color you're looking for in your cheese to know it's the cheesiest goodness that you can possibly experience. Oh, that's awesome. I do love looking here that we see the Kraft logo on the back as well. And then we actually have like raised little butt cheeks, if you will. Maybe that's not family friendly, but donk. Anyway, it's meant for ergonomics, I believe. I don't think the SN30 Pro has that. 8BitDo, I'm looking at you. And kind of just testing right now. And again, this is preliminary testing. But testing right now, I find that my fingers are falling right in and on that. And I have kind of big hands, so that feels really, really good. I'm really excited to give this a test. This is compatible with Switch, PC, Android, Mac, Chromebook, as well as Raspberry Pi. And I did not expect this, but this is also compatible with Tesla. So I don't know if this allows you to drive your car. I'm guessing it doesn't. But for those of you who really want to find out and have a Tesla, leave a comment below. I'm happy to take your Tesla off your hands and test this with your Tesla. So let's give it a quick button test. Not too loud. Probably doesn't matter so much with a controller like this because it's not a handheld. So this isn't something you're likely to be playing in bed next to your partner who's trying to sleep or anything like that. But I do know that some people hate the clickety clicks that you get with micro switches. And so I just always like to do a buttons test. Looking at the top of it, we can see that there's actually a switch here. That toggle switch switches from Nintendo Switch to BT for Bluetooth, I believe. You can see the Hyperkin logo. I think that's going to be the home button. And then we can actually see a lightning bolt right there. And I believe that's going to be a turbo function if you're using, Mac, Apple, PC, anything like that, and probably a capture button if you're using the Switch. Setting that aside real quick, we'll see if there are any more goodies in the box before we continue and do a practical game test. I'm going to set these rings aside here. Ooh, and we do have some more goodies. Ooh, and fantastic! We get another Let's Game thank you for your purchase card, because one simply was not enough. And in case you hadn't thrown the first one away, we get a second Hyperkin sticker. So now we can sticker, our cars, we can sticker our lunch boxes, we can sticker our foreheads, what have you. So that's fantastic. And I love that we actually have a real booklet. I don't remember the last time I saw a booklet for something, but let alone a controller like this. Usually they're kind of like fold out posters and things like that, but awesome. So we'll get that stuff aside, sparing no expense for this limited edition. Got the logos on here with the Hyperkin, and this is braided cable, folks. So they're going for a quality point that I did not expect from a $39.99 controller, but that one would hope for from a limited edition collaboration. So that's definitely really cool. And I think that leaves only one thing, and that's to give this controller a test. And of course, it being testing time, that can mean only one thing, and that's that it's time for a Nintendo Switch. All right, so first things first, we're going to turn that on and get that going here. And then like most controllers, or like all controllers that I'm aware of for the Nintendo Switch, we are going to hit the controller option. We're going to go to change grip and order. And then if you look at the top here, we actually have, if you can see that, there's a little button. It's probably difficult to see, but there's a little button right here. That's going to be your sync button. We also have a little pinhole here to reset. So if you need to reset the turbo function and anything like that, you can do so in there. Now, that said, I'm not going to be having turbo functionality in this video simply because I'm not pairing to Mac, PC, Android, or anything like that. On Switch, this button functions as a screen capture. And then make sure our slider is over here to the SW for Switch. The BT, of course, is going to be your Bluetooth connection for all the other connection possibilities. So I'm going to hold the sync button. We're going to see that it, kind of goes back and forth like that to find, and boom, right away, we're connected. So that looks like it's working pretty well. And I'm somebody who believes that the most natural game to try for a controller like this is something like Tetris or maybe a classic Mario. So without any further delay, let's get into a little bit of Tetris, see how that goes. We want to make sure that we're getting solid inputs with that D-pad, because this is a controller where the D-pad really needs to shine, right? That's what this controller is really all about. I believe we can change the color of this light here. If you hold down the flash button or the turbo button, and then we cycle through with R3 here, and you can see that the colors are changing. So green, blue, red, pink. I'm going to set it to blue. Started with white, but I'm going to set it to blue because it goes along with the, the Kraft theme here. And I think that looks absolutely awesome. And we'll go right in for a game of Tetris and see how this works. Don't judge me too hard. It is definitely a little challenging to record and play Tetris at the same time. This does feel really good. The controls feel really deliberate, if that makes sense. So it feels like there's a good amount. You can definitely tell when you're engaging. I don't know if that'll break in over time at all, but they feel like the real deal. Let's see if you can hear this, because it's definitely clicky, but it's not a bad clicky. It just makes it feel, like I said before, very deliberate, and like I know exactly the inputs that I'm getting every time. All right, testing it out on the one and only Super Mario Bros. Let's see how that feels. So eat your heart outs, retro game enthusiasts, because we're giving this the thorough retro rundown, if you will. It's hard to think of a better game to test something like this out on than with your classics. And what's more classic than Super Mario Bros? Doop. The question is, can I look at you guys and play at the same time? And the answer is going to be most assuredly no. But it feels amazing. That was so controlled going through that section. I often kind of like waffle back and forth a little bit, and that felt like there's no waffle, only pancake. So I'm really, really excited about this controller. I think it's absolutely awesome. I would be remiss if I didn't mention that there is an option to switch the layout here to like an Xbox or a Microsoft layout away from the Nintendo layout if you so choose. I don't do that very often, obviously, because I predominantly play Nintendo games. So just to recap, as cheesy as it sounds, I really, really love this controller. I think it's incredibly comfortable. It feels great in the hand. The ergonomics definitely hit the nail on the head. You can switch the A and B input. They call it the X input or whatever. You can switch that if you're playing PC or anything of that nature, which obviously I don't do, but if you are doing that, you have that option. While I have the blues, I don't have the blues on this controller. I think it's absolutely wonderful. And I think they look great in a collection as well as to play. So I definitely would encourage grabbing one of these if you're interested. I'll leave links down in the description below. They are limited edition. So remember, if you ever wished you were an Oscar Mayer wiener, and that's what you truly would like to be, well, now you have the opportunity. Heinz, Sriracha, Kool-Aid, oh yeah. Or Kraft mac and cheese, because America spells cheese K-R-A-F-T. So this is Ben64, the console curator, saying, remember everybody, the past is present, and the future, well, that's what you make it.